everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this week is my eldest son Dylan's last full week of primary school, and to say I'm feeling emotional about it is an understatement, to say the least. So I just thought it might be helpful for any of you who are in the same boat as me with a child going off to secondary school to share some of the things that I will be doing to prepare myself and him, but probably mostly myself if we're honest, for the changes that will happen when he goes to secondary school. If you're new to my channel, I'm Kate, I'm a mum of 4. I have an 11-year-old Dylan who is about to go from primary school to secondary school. I also have a 10-year-old daughter Merrin who is about to move into year 6, so her final year of primary school starting in September. I have a 5-year-old called Aiden who will be moving up to year 1 in September, and I have a baby girl, Marnie, who has just turned 1 year old. So if you're new and you haven't subscribed yet, I would love you to click the button below so that you don't miss any of my videos. I'm hoping to do quite a few about the whole starting school and back to school and all that kind of thing over the coming weeks. So do subscribe if that's of interest to you. So the first thing that I think is a really big one, and probably the biggest change that parents and children have to adapt to, is the change in independence. Now, if you've watched my videos for a while, you will know that I really struggle with this. I'm not good with letting go. I'm a bit of a clingy mum. I like to know where my kids are. I like to know that they're safe. I really struggle with letting go and letting them go off on their own and do things. I'm not like a nightmare, but it is something that I find quite challenging. So the thought of Dylan going off to school and it not being, because his primary school is literally right around the corner from where we live, so the secondary school is that little bit further away, and obviously they have a lot more freedom. I'm sure it won't be long before he wants to walk himself to and from school. So those thoughts are something that will take a bit of getting used to for me, for sure. Give the video a thumbs up or comment below to let me know if you feel the same way when it comes to letting go with your kids. I would love to know that I'm not alone, because sometimes I feel like I am a little behind in that regard and other parents are more comfortable than I am with it, and I need to really get a grip. So I'd love to hear from you if you are in the same boat as me. So what I'm planning to do to help myself transition, this sounds ridiculous, it's not me going up to a different school, it's him, but I do think the things that will benefit me will benefit Dylan as well. So what I'm planning to do is to allow him that little bit more freedom if he wants it over the summer holidays. Now, a lot of his friends have been doing this for a while, maybe the last term, so a good couple of months, where they will go into town with a group of friends and they have a set curfew. They have to be back within an hour, or the parents have to know exactly where they're going to be, and then they get picked up from a designated spot at a specific time, and you know, they've been given an hour of freedom to feel a little bit more independent and build up their confidence. And even though we haven't done that yet with Dylan, because he hasn't asked, to be honest, he hasn't shown any interest in it, so we haven't encouraged him until he asks if he can. But I do think it's a good idea just for them to get a little bit more streetwise and just a little bit more prepared to go out into the big wide world. I don't want my insecurities and my difficulties with letting go to affect him negatively when it comes to his confidence and things like that. So it's a really difficult balance to find, I think. But certainly over the summer holidays, I'll get in touch with some of his close friends' parents to see if we can arrange that kind of thing. Maybe even if I drop him at the park with a friend and he just has an hour in the park and I pick him up again. Just cutting the cord a little bit, just to allow him a little bit of freedom where I'm not literally watching his every move. I think it's healthy and it will help him to feel that little bit more confident and independent, which I think is good. The next thing is feeling familiar with new surroundings, and obviously I can only speak from our personal experience, but we have had a great transition program for Dylan from his current primary school to his new secondary school. When I started secondary school, we were literally chucked in at the deep end on the first day. I can't remember ever having a transition. I'm sure I must have visited it beforehand, because that would have been weird, but it certainly wasn't anything near as good as Dylan has had. He's been back and forth to his new school a dozen times to visit different departments, and he's been there for a disco, he's been there for an open evening where he got to meet all the different teachers, he's gone to do a music workshop, a drama workshop. He's well and truly familiar with the school, with a lot of the teachers, how the school is set out. He just feels really comfortable there. But I just think that has helped me so much, because I can picture him there now because I've seen him do things in that school, and it's just made me feel a lot more comfortable, and it has definitely made him excited to start at his new school. Another thing that I've tried to do with Dylan over the last couple of months, and I will continue to do over the summer holidays, is chat to him about my experiences in high school. I think it's easy to underestimate just how daunting a thing it is for an 11-year-old. It's such a big change, and especially in our case, Dylan is going from what is a very typical village primary school. Everybody knows everybody. It's not a tiny school, it's still a decent size, but it is a big jump from where he is now to where he will be in September. And I think even though on the surface, if I was to talk to him and say, you know, how are you feeling about starting school in September, he is very positive and says how much he's looking forward to it. But I think if you scratch the surface a little bit underneath it, he is quite overwhelmed and a little bit, I don't know if intimidated is the right word, but just uneasy about it, which is normal. So I just want to make sure that I keep the conversation going with him over the summer. We've done a lot of talking about, you know, he had lots of questions about will there be bullies, and if somebody does pick on me, how do I deal with it, and how much homework will there be, and what if I don't like a teacher. We've had all those conversations, but I think what will really help to put him at ease now in the coming weeks before he starts is for me and Dan to talk to him about our experiences and just put his mind at rest that it's not as big and scary as he might think it is. The next thing that I will be doing in the run-up to September is starting to plan for our new routine. Things are going to change for us in the new school year. At the moment, all 3 of our school-age children are in the same school, so school drop-offs and pickups are quite straightforward. Obviously, Dylan's level of homework in primary school is a lot less than it will be when he goes up to high school in September. So I just want to put things in place over the summer so that it's not such a shock to the system when he starts. So that means things like putting a calendar up in the kitchen that will show all of our new arrangements for a school week, and I'll probably do that a couple of weeks before they start back, just so that we can talk it through and everybody knows where we will be, what time we will have to be ready for in the morning, and that kind of thing. I also plan to set up a new homework schedule because it has been a bit hit and miss while they've all been in primary school. And I'll hold my hands up and say there have even been days where they've woken up in the morning and said, I've got homework that has to be in today, so we've had to do it before school on the day it's got to be in, and that is not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. So my plan is to have a designated homework time slot every day if needs be. Obviously we'll see how much homework he's getting as to how frequent that needs to be, but I almost kind of want to set it every day. So then the children that don't have homework can read or prepare something else for school, and Dylan can get on with his homework. What I don't want is for him to feel like he's the only one sort of chained to his desk doing his homework while the others are having fun, because I think that will do nothing for his motivation and his concentration. He's very much the type of person who will think, well, if they're not doing it, I'm not doing it. So yes, I think we need to set it as something that they all do in that given time, and I think that will help him to cope and adapt to the increase in homework. On a practical note, there's a few things I'm planning to do in the run-up to and in the first week of him starting at his new school, just to make sure he's fully prepared and has everything he needs for school. So the first thing is currently up for debate in our house, and that is his phone. He has one of my old iPhones from a couple of years ago, which doesn't have a SIM card in, and he just uses it for YouTube and games pretty much. My husband doesn't think he should have a SIM card or a phone. He doesn't want him really on social media yet. Obviously he's not even 12 yet, so he's not really supposed to be on things like Instagram and Facebook, so he's not. But there is a lot of messaging that goes back and forth on WhatsApp and messages and things like that he's not currently a part of. And I don't know, I'm in two minds about it. I don't want him to miss out on that social side of things, but also I'm very aware that being a part of those kinds of groups and things opens up a whole world of possibilities for bullying or just feeling left out of things or offended or upset by things. And I don't know, I I feel sometimes like I might be in the minority. So again, I would love to hear what you feel about this. And I know it's quite a controversial one, and I don't want to offend anyone who feels differently to me. You know, we're all different. But I've seen firsthand with a family member how it can affect a teenager or a pre-teenager being online and not being able to switch off from people saying stuff to you or messaging you, and it terrifies me. So there's a part of me that wants to keep him removed from that until he's asking me otherwise, which again, he's not. He doesn't ask to be on Instagram or WhatsApp or anything like that. However, I also don't want him to be behind the times either. So again, it's a really fine line between what, you know, you feel you should do and what you feel more comfortable with as a parent. So I'm currently in conversation with my husband about it because he's dead set against it. No, doesn't want him to have a phone that he takes to school with a SIM card in. But then from a safety point of view, I would like him to be contactable, and that's the only reason I want him to have a SIM card. I would like him to be able to message me if he needs me and vice versa. So it's really difficult, and I would absolutely love to know your thoughts on it, because this is the first time I'm having to really deal with this situation, and I don't really know where to start, if I'm completely honest. But the things that I will definitely be doing when he starts school is making sure that he has emergency money in his bag at all times, which I'm pretty confident he will just spend on snacks. So I'm gonna have to keep checking that on a daily basis to make sure it's topped up. I'm also planning to make multiple copies of his timetable. Dylan is not good at knowing where he's supposed to be at any given time. So I'm planning to make multiple copies, one that will be reduced in size so we can keep it in his pocket, one that will be laminated in his bag, one inside his folder, one inside his lunchbox. I don't know, I'm just planning to make lots of them so that he will always have a copy. Even if he's lost 3 of them, there's bound to be another one hanging around somewhere. So that's another thing I'm planning to do. I'm also planning to write down my phone number, my husband's phone number, my mum's phone number, and put them in his bag so that if he does have a phone and he loses it, he can still access our phone numbers and he knows that he can get hold of us. So that's how I'm planning to get myself and my 11-year-old ready for starting secondary school in September. I hope that's been helpful. I'm sure there will be more things that I think of in the coming weeks, so perhaps I'll make a follow-up video to this a bit closer to the time. I'd also love to hear how you're planning to prepare for the transition, so do leave me a comment below to let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Do give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!